What is the character of the American presidency? Does it look more like a king, or is it more like a governor of a state? Now, this is a question you actually really have to answer, because the idea of a Republican executive is still so new, because it's an innovation of the U.S. Constitution. So you've got to explain, and this is what Hamilton is trying to do in Federalist 69 and 70. Say, look, the president is more like the governor of New York, and perhaps even less powerful than the governor of New York in their respective domains, than he is like the king of England. And then he lists off 10 reasons to show how different the president is from the king. And among these reasons are elections. A president is elected, and a king serves for life on the hereditary principle. If you want to get rid of a president, you can either refuse to re-elect him, or you can impeach him if he's being naughty. If you want to get rid of a king, you got to kill the guy. Okay, what about the veto power? Well, a king has an absolute veto, and a president only has a qualified veto, subject to override by Congress. What about foreign policy and war? The president is commander-in-chief, but he has no capacity to declare war, and he's reliant on the Senate for consent in all foreign policy appointments, for example, ambassadors, as well as for all treaties. Whereas the king is in charge of foreign policy and doesn't need any parliamentary support for treaties or for executive appointments. Okay, and here's another really interesting difference between the two. The king has spiritual authority. He is the head of the Church of England, whereas the United States president has literally no spiritual authority. That is outside of his domain completely, which makes him less dangerous. Okay, so the president is not like a king. Does that mean the president is weak? No. The American presidency, the Republican president, the Republican executive is energetic. That is absolutely key. So for Hamilton, energy in the executive is one of the leading definitions of good government. You cannot have good government without energy in the executive. And this is the lesson taught both by ancient governments. You see this in the failures of the Roman Republic, as well as in the really hard lessons learned in the states during the critical period, both in state governments as well as under the Articles of Confederation, all of which, with the exception of New York, lacked any kind of energetic or capable executives. So government only works when you have a capable executive who can handle crisis and act with energy and speed and dispatch. And one of the leading ways to guarantee energy in the executive is unity. And by unity, they mean one person. Now, this sounds really obvious to us today, but it wasn't obvious back then, because again, this concept is pretty new, and the idea was that power is safer when it's dispersed in multiple hands. But Hamilton says, no, you need energy, and energy only happens when it's unified, when it's in one person. So you've got to have a single guy, and that's also good, because then you know who to blame when things go bad. That single person has core responsibilities, and you can vote them out and know who to blame when things go bad, and also know who to re-elect when things go well. So energy is absolutely essential. The Republican executive is not a king, but it is energetic and it is powerful.